Ready.
Okay, let's begin. We're ready? Okay, I thought y'all were. Good morning, everyone. The Delaware County Commissioner meeting for February 18th, 2021 is now in session. Would you stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. I'm Gary Merrill, Board President this year. To my left is Vice President Commissioner Barb Lewis. Commissioner Benton is with us virtually today, and Mike Fromer is our administrator is to my left. And our clerk today is Sarah DeNova, and Jenna Walraven is up here to assist as well. So with that, let's begin.
Resolution number 21-109, in the matter of approving electronic record of proceedings from regular meeting held February 11th, 2021.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-109. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-110, in the matter of approving purchase orders, then and now certificates and payments of warrants and batch numbers CMAPR 0217, memo transfers and batch numbers MTAPR 0217.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-1110. Mr. Merrill?
You see Merrill?
Yes.
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-111, in the matter of authorizing the use of a procurement card for the use of the auditor's office.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion? Vote?
Vote on motion 21-111. Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-112, in the matter of approving the DKMM County Recycling and Litter Prevention Office Program Status Final Report for 2020.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion?
Good morning, Jennifer Way Young, Keep Delaware County Beautiful, program of the Delaware Public Health District. It has been a bit of a scaled
And
back.
take your mask off. Yeah,
It has
thank
been
you.
a bit of a scaled back year. However, we did have some really, I think, great things accomplished. We did have a virtual composting workshop partnered with Delaware County Soil and Water Conservation District and Price Farms Organics. We had 60 people sign up, and I think 48 participated. It was very successful. We did have our household hazardous waste drop-off day. 625 vehicles. It was very busy. Collected almost 50,000 pounds of material, and almost half of that was paint. So we're excited with the new transfer station that we'll have some changes made so that our residents can be better served in the future. I was able to provide virtual recycling presentations to some classrooms and hope to be able to do more of that this spring and get back and do some live in-persons once the schools start allowing people back into their buildings. I also did a recycling video and helped plan for the virtual Northern Olentangy Watershed Festival that was last June. I worked with DKMM to provide additional recycling bins and service days to some of our drop-offs. We saw an increase of almost 55,000 pounds in recyclable material collected at our recycling drop-offs. And we hope to see more of that in the future. And as addition to, now that Rumpke is handling our curbsides, we're hoping to see an increase too with our weights coming in that way. Because I know in the past there were some haulers that weren't providing us that information like they should have been. We did have a scaled down Great American Cleanup. I worked with small family groups and some small partners and to do cleanups around the county. And that was mostly later in the summer and into the fall before the weather changed. So did what we could and answered lots of phone calls. Got alternative places for people to take their materials and just tried to keep up the customer service as best I could.
So people were still able to drop off if they were recycling, they can,
I think they were more interested in recycling actually this year. I think we saw an increase in materials, an increase in usage. Yeah, I think that more people were ready to do it. Maybe they had the time to do it and realized that it's something that they should be
at the
doing.
time to.
How much they were
Yeah.
throwing away.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
To reinforce one of your comments, the sooner we get away from virtual meetings, the better. I don't think we get as much value. I think some of that's kind of just be feel-good stuff. So I look forward to that day, and hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later.
Hoping.
Commissioner Benton, you have anything to add?
Nothing more, no.
Okay. With that, vote.
Vote on motion 21-112. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Thank you very much. It's great
Thank
to see
you.
you all
Thank you
again.
for coming in on this snowy day.
Resolution number 21-113, in the matter of approving a contract with Elitaire LLC, a Dakin company, for the 101 North Sandusky Cooling Tower Replacement Project.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Good morning, John Melvin, Director of Facilities. This is one of our permanent improvement projects. We've actually bumped up our list as priority since we were able to bring the Carnegie roof replacement in under budget by enough. This cooling tower is provides cooling for the Carnegie building. So obviously, if we were to lose this, we would lose cooling in the 911 center. So we felt due to this replacement is due to age and wear. So we wanted to bump this project up. Elite Air was just purchased by the Daikin company. We got a couple quotes. This is actually off of Omni Partners cooperative purchasing agreement. They were the best pricing, and we were able to do it through a cooperative purchasing agreement.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-113. Mr. Benton? Mr. Benton?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, couldn't hear you.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Yes.
Resolution number 21-114, in the matter of approving a contract with Garland DBS Incorporated for the Olentangy Environmental Control Center Roofing Project 2021 phase.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
Morning, Commissioners. Eric McPeak, Deputy Director of Operations for the Regional Sewer District. This contract with Garland is also an Omni Partners cooperative agreement. We get competitive bidding on material and then subsequently competitive bid labor with this. This is for building envelope improvements at OECC. The first phase, we have several buildings that still need some attention, but these are by far the most in need. So that's what this is for, and I can answer any questions you might have.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-114. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Resolution number 21-115, in the matter of setting the date, bid, and time to receive bids for liquid sludge hauling services.
So moved.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. Discussion.
This is a one-year agreement with an optional 1 year up to 2 years re-ups on this. This is for as-needed backup hauling of liquid sludge from our package plants to our Allen Creek treatment plant. This is different from the biosolids bid that is out and actually due next week. This is to help us out mostly for equipment downtime. Anytime we have an operator out for an extended period of time, even a week vacation, some of these plants, the liquid sludge needs to be removed. So we would like to bid this out this year. We've contracted out in the past, so we're looking for some better pricing on an hourly rate. That's what the bid will be for.
Okay.
Questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-115. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Thanks.
Resolution number 21-116, in the matter of authorizing participation in the ODOT road salt contract 08-21.
So move.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Riley, Chief Deputy Engineer. We are asking for your approval to purchase salt under the current ODOT salt purchase contract for up to 2,000 tons. If you'll indulge me for just a moment, I'll give you a quick update on where things stand with our salt and snow and ice control operations this year. Clearly, we're having probably a more normal winter this year, maybe in excess of normal in terms of snowfall and ice. For the last couple of years, as if you can remember, we've had really light winters. In fact, last winter we used only about half as much salt as we would have expected, and we ended last year with salt stacked to the rafters really in all of our salt buildings. And so we had about close to 11,000 tons of salt going into this winter, which would ordinarily serve any normal winter. Unfortunately, this has grown in excess of a normal winter in the last few weeks. So that's the reason for this purchase. Frankly, our hope was that we could make it through this winter with the salt we already had on hand. It's there's a clear upside to putting down salt and keeping our roads clear. We have to keep our roads flowing and open to traffic. It does come at a huge expense, though. I will tell you, we haven't tallied up the final cost of this last weekend's storm, but the weekend prior, that storm cost about $260,000 in total labor, equipment, and materials to manage that
That's just for
storm.
county roads, correct?
Correct, yes. So at $64 per ton, that's about what we pay for a ton of asphalt in place during the summer when we pave roads. Asphalt lasts 12 to 15 years. You're lucky to get 20 minutes out of a ton of salt. So the reality is there's an expectation that we keep roads drivable, and some folks expect us to have black pavement as soon as it snows. We can do that. It comes at a huge cost, and so we find ourselves really struggling to try to balance what is reasonable versus what is cost effective, and clearly manage expectations. So that's a little background on this this purchase, but happy to answer any questions you have.
I just have an observation. I have found that in this county, the township I live in, Liberty, does an outstanding job. The city which surrounds us does an outstanding job, and of course the county does. I applaud the effort that's been made, and so I thought I'd throw that in for whatever it's worth.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Boy, and all the workers out there actually doing the plowing, the salting, and, yeah, boy. And out on a weekend and middle of the night.
Yeah.
I have found the roads very manageable. I haven't had any issues whatever time I've left the house anywhere in the county.
Thank you. Yeah, really hats off to.
Yeah,
Yes.
I had a question. What do we end up paying for the 2,000 tons of salt? And what's happened to pricing this year?
So the price under this contract is about $64 per ton. Pricing has been up and down over the last 5 years. It's been as high as $83, I believe. It's been as low as probably in the 50s. I'd have to go back and look to be sure, but obviously, if any of us were successful speculators of salt prices, we wouldn't be doing our current job. I mean, we'd be selling salt instead of buying it. When it comes time to filling up our salt barns again this summer, we will very possibly be back to you for a supplemental. Again, this is the way things are going. We're only halfway through February, so winters in Ohio, often extend through March. So, but
Hopefully that answered your question, Commissioner.
So,
Yeah,
so So if I can turn, go ahead, Jeff.
I was gonna comment that, driving around central Ohio, I do acknowledge that Delaware County roads are the best maintained of all the, roads in central Ohio, so congratulations, and thanks to your crews and the others that make that possible.
Thank you.
So as to summarize, I think there's a slight premium, but it's not outlandish.
There's actually no premium with this order. This is the current contract price. We're basically just entering the contract
Okay.
later than usual, but, you know, again, I don't know what salt prices are gonna be like next year, or for this upcoming order, for the winter season next year. It could be similar, it could be more. I'm not sure it'll be less, but, so.
Any other questions or comments? Vote.
Vote on motion 21-116. Mr. Merrill?
Aye.
Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
That
Thank
brings
you.
us to administrator reports.
I have nothing to report today.
Commissioner Lewis.
All right. The Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, wrote a letter to Governor DeWine and urging him to consider the prioritization of county election officials and poll workers in the rollout for the vaccine plan. And I was talking to Carla at the Board of Elections, our excellent director, and she actually informed me of this and sent me the letter. And as Secretary of State LaRose says, we now find ourselves less than 2 months from the start of early voting for the next election, which is in May, the primary, the May primary. And so, you know, we don't think of this usually, they do at the board. And so for the safety of the poll workers, and this prioritization would include those working actually at the Board of Elections and also the poll workers. So the governor has been very good about responding to those who need the vaccine quickly. So we'll stay tuned to see what happens.
Well, I'm going to make a comment, kind of in disagreement a little bit there. Anytime you prioritize, it means somebody else doesn't get it. And there's still a lot of people in the 70-plus age group who have not been vaccinated. And so I realize it's a balancing act, but I think we should all be aware that there is a push and pull. One affects the other. So
Well,
just an
but
observation.
then once the numbers of vaccines reach a certain amount, then I don't think we're going to have that push and pull. We are receiving a lot more now.
And theoretically, the age
Vaccines.
group that typically works the polls probably are in the older age group.
That's
So
right, yeah.
In theory, it
Yes.
should be addressed.
The director mentioned that too,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
The older poll workers, so in that case, you're just giving one shot and getting two benefits.
Is that all,
That's
Commissioner Lewis?
it, thank you.
Commissioner Benton.
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Merrill and I participated in a land bank call yesterday, land bank board meeting, and we had a very interesting meeting. As I think everyone knows, the old jail, the historic jail, is owned by the land bank and is now being marketed for sale to the private sector. And we received two very interesting bids. Attractive financially, good business plans. We asked for more detail from those who have submitted bids to provide more detail on the numbers, the pro formas, the economic impact, et cetera. And so we'll get those in the coming weeks. And we also have several others apparently that have been through it, are interested, and will also submit bids. It looks like in the coming days. So very, very good interest, very strong interest in that. And, the bidders realize they've got to keep the historical integrity of the building, and they're all committed to doing that. And we're very excited to, take it over and rejuvenate it and put it back in the private sector into positive use. So good news there. Talked to the Treasurer of State's office last week about the OMAP program, which is the Ohio Market Access Program. And my interest is possibly being an investor in bonds that are issued under the OMAP, which would provide a much better yield to our idle funds that are earning 8 basis points, which is almost zero. So anyway, looking into that, CCAO budget call was last Friday. That was interesting. No real news. You know, the indigent defense funding is in there. Primarily, the focus is on the governor's proposal. In the coming weeks, the House and Senate will also put forward their proposals, and we'll see how things shake out. But you know, there was also $1 billion in the governor's proposal for helping small businesses, in particular, impacted by COVID. So that's very encouraging. And then lastly, that Central Iowa Youth Center board meeting today at 4. So we'll see how things go in there. But that's it for me.
Just reinforce the land bank. I think we had some very attractive offers. So in theory, I think we should be able to move fairly quickly and put this property back in the hands of the private sector. I think you agree with that, Commissioner Ben, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they were very attractive. They were, you know, roughly twice as much as when we tried to sell it directly by the county. The offer, the financial offers were about twice as much as what we received then. So clearly there's strong interest, and you know, getting it back on the tax rolls and in the private sector, producing economic activity and jobs and taxes and so on is a really good thing. So very optimistic.
Okay, I attended a regional planning executive yesterday morning with our administrator, Mr. Fromer. Delaware leadership was earlier in the week, and it went kind of like the routine. The leadership numbers were down this year because of the virus. I think they cut the class, I think probably deliberately, in roughly half. But the group was very involved, and I find that it's a great way to get acquainted with the county, and those who participate always get a lot out of it. I know when I was in Athens leadership, there's a lot of things I learned about Athens that I didn't know that you learn in this kind of environment, and the same I'm sure applies in this case. I also attended, of course, meeting last Friday, the board meeting, and I have SEPCO board meeting tomorrow. So, and unfortunately, they're both virtual. Just a quick comment. I don't want to try to say this in a way that, you know, Rush Limbaugh passed away yesterday, and I know there's a lot of people have strong feelings, but it's unfortunate we have those who make light of the death of someone at a time like this, and you think there could be a little more understanding, a little more compassion in some of the so-called progressive show, and I would just ask that we respect the family, and Mr. Limbaugh contributed a lot in the conservative fashion. I know some people disagree with that, but it does not mean you have to be, what's the word I'm looking for, tacky in how you go about commenting on a situation like that. With that, I do believe we have need for executive session.
We do. Resolution number 21-117, in the matter of adjourning into executive session for consideration of appointment of a public employee or public official.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, vote.
Vote on motion 21-117. Mrs. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Benton?
Aye.
Mr. Merrill?
Aye. With that, we